The Tremor. It is the pinnacle of the Everest range. Where the Platinum is about luxury and comfort, the Tremor is about going a bit further and a bit harder off-road. Now it is still an Everest, but it comes with our favourite engine in the Everest range for towing, the 3-litre V6. It sits taller than a normal Everest on big all-terrain tyres, and it has steel bash plates underneath, extra floodlights, easy to wash mats, and a new rock crawler mode. But we are a towing channel, so what are we going to do? We're going to tow, but first let's check its specs. Like almost every vehicle out there, yes, it can tow its maximum braked tow capacity of 3.5 tonne, but only in very limited circumstances. If you subtract 3.5 tonne from its GCM and its curb weight, you're left with around 300 kilos. So pack very, very lightly if you plan on towing a big van. Upping the GVM is not the solution for big tow loads though, as the GCM is 6,350 kilos. So all you are left with after subtracting the maximum tow capacity is 2,850 kilos. Lightening the Tremor is an option. You could remove the spare steel wheel and you could take out the third row of seats. But no one's going to do that. They're going to add more weight to it. Now luckily for us, we're not towing a big van today or for the next 5 days. We're taking a small camper off-road because we want to go that little bit further, and we're taking our mates with us. It is a J-Pod X, Jayco's most off-road focused pod style camper. It's small, it's light, it's nimble, it's perfect for going bush. I hauled it for 2,000 kilometres from Melbourne to Cairn River, through the Kosciuszko National Park, up to Chutmit, and down through Ngambie and the Strathbogie Ranges, before heading back to work. We've done a full walkthrough video on the camper. You'll find it in the top comment pinned below. In short, as we towed it, the J-Pod was about 1,200 kilos. It sits just under 2 meters wide and about 2.3 meters tall, with the optional rooftop tent we have. Knowing the Everest platform well, I know the Tremor could tow a lot more, but we don't like camping in holiday parks. We like bush camps and getting off the beaten path, and that's exactly what the Tremor is all about. Getting the best out of going off-road starts with the bits touching the ground, and that's the tyres. Now the Tremor runs an aggressive set of all-terrains from General Grabber, the AT3s. These ones in 265/70/17. Now I appreciate the size of the sidewall. There's a lot there that you can bag out or soften the tyre by deflating it to give you more traction off-road. The Tremor does come with a TPMS or a tyre pressure monitoring system, but it doesn't include a tyre temperature system, which I would like to see. Now the tyres are matched with a slight lift from a new suspension setup featuring specifically tuned Bilstein dampeners with remote reservoirs, which give it around about a 26mm lift over a standard Everest. So under this Tremor is additional body armour as part of the Rough Pack. Now that also gets you the stylish front bar I'll show you in a second, which includes a pair of recovery points. But one thing I wanted to point out are the side steps. Now these are specific to the Tremor and they are much better and much more sturdy than what you'll find on a typical Everest. So under the bonnet is the familiar 3-litre Lion V6. Now this engine debuted with the Everest and the Ranger back when this platform first came to market. Now I love this thing. It's 184 kilowatt and 600 newton meters, so it is by far the best in class. But it's also silky smooth and exceptionally quiet when towing. Now don't get me wrong, I like the 2-litre 4-cylinder. It's a fantastic engine, super efficient. But for towing, the extra grunt and just how quiet and smooth the V6 is, it gets our pick. So behind the V6 is a 10-speed automatic. Now I was a bit critical of the 10-speed when it first launched. My very first tow test back then, I saw quite high transmission temperatures. But in the last couple of years, and definitely this year, I've seen no problems with it. What I really like about it is its lightning smooth changes, and it always feels like it's in the right gear when you're on the freeway towing a van. There is a transfer case behind the automatic gearbox to make it a proper 4x4. Now what's unique about the Tremor though is a 7th drive mode called rock crawl mode. We used tow haul mode pretty much exclusively, but once I looked for the diff lock button when leaving a wet camp and I couldn't find the button. It turns out the Tremor does have a rear locker which engages when you enter the right mode. I used it in sand mode when heading down to the dunes at the beach near Can River. Now we were traveling with only one vehicle, so I didn't want to go too far off-road in case I found some trouble. But what I can tell you from the people I've spoken to is that the Tremor is exceptionally capable off-road when put in the right modes. It makes full driving super easy. So there are a lot of parts that make the Tremor a good off-roader, and it definitely has the grunt to tow big loads, but it's actually a really nice place to be to watch the world go past from inside. This Tremor has been optioned with the rough terrain pack, touring pack, optional command grey paint, and leather upgraded seats. You might not need the rough terrain pack, which adds on the cool front bumper, a lot of extra armour underneath, an auxiliary panel above the console, but you have to tick the touring pack as it gets you the 360-degree camera, trailer brake, and tow bar setup. What you see here is a little over $97,000, which is a big chunk of change for anyone to swallow, but an Everest V6 commands a high price. I looked at a Sport V6 with 18-inch wheels, the touring pack, premium paint, a couple of small options, and it came out to $87,000. So for $10,000 more, is the Tremor a good deal? For the bash plates alone, and the front bar, which are part of the rough pack, and that lift and wheels and tyres, I reckon 10 grand is a bargain. So how did it tow? Well, just over 2,000 k's travelled, we saw 14.4 litres per 100. And I know what you're thinking, that's not great for a 1,200 kilo camper. But remember, that is a box with a tent on top. It is hardly aerodynamic. And the Tremor runs aggressive all-terrain tyres with a bit of a lift. I think if it was a standard V6 Everest, you would have seen about 12. Now that 14.4, which I think is reasonable, will net you about 500 k's from the 80-litre tank. So the factory brake controller did a great job of the Jayco's electric drum brakes. It always felt great under braking and very safe and progressive. Now critically for me, what I enjoyed most about the Tremor in towing is the confidence the grip gave me to go that little bit further. There were instances where I went into hip camps where I had the choice to go down long grassy or muddy tracks to get to a better camp spot than stay up away from where I wanted to be. Now the confidence it gave me meant I could go where I wanted, so I did. So the verdict, with its aggressive tyres, the lift, the bash plates, the better lighting at night time, this is a vehicle that you're going to have a lot more fun with when you go camping. And let's be honest, if you're going out camping, isn't it all about having fun?